Hello, everybody, and welcome to Talk About It Tuesday. I'm Tosca DiMatteo, founder of Tosca Coaching and Consulting, and I'm thrilled to have you here today to talk to Corey, the founder of Lighthouse, also known as Find Your Lighthouse, on her social channels. This is an incredible story that I know you're going to be really inspired by in terms of her journey from corporate to finding a new path and a new way forward. Welcome, Camille. Excited to have you here. Hello, Corey. Excited that you're here. Happy to have you on. I'm sending and and we'll get started. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh, no, my pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to be on this little old platform here.
Big little platform with a really, really big punch.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I was just, kind of before you came on, just sharing. I'm excited to have you on, to hear about your journey. And for those of you who may be new, I'm Tosca DiMatteo, founder of Tosca Coaching and Consulting, and I do this Talk About It Tuesday because I want to find different voices and perspectives on this journey called life to help us all live a free life, live the life that we want, and find ways into that, with different experiences. So I'm so glad that you're here to share your story and your nuggets of wisdom,
Yeah,
Corey.
I'm excited.
And mhm. Sorry, go ahead. I cut you off.
I'm excited to be here too.
Thanks. So I usually start off by just kind of handing over the mic, letting you introduce yourself, sharing whatever you want about your life, how you got here, like what you're passionate about talking about today, and kind of take it from there.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, I am super passionate about meeting new people and hearing about people's journeys and their stories because I genuinely believe that there are so many different ways to get from A to Z, and we all have different paths of getting there and arriving there. And some of us are going in completely different directions, but we're still all arriving at the same place. And I think it's really fascinating when you sort of peel back the curtain, if you will, and are able to actually look at people's stories and their journeys and hear the ups, the downs, the pitfalls, the struggles, the joy, the celebration, um, and really get to know a person deeply. I find that fascinating. Um, and that said, I really wanted to build a community that celebrated those journeys and talked about the vulnerabilities and the challenges that life itself presents. And, I've always said that you're not meant to do life alone. And I really genuinely believe that because there are so many things that could go wrong or so many things that you can't forecast and so many things that you only know what you know and you don't know what you don't know and you don't know what you can't see coming, so there's really no way to prepare, but to have other people going through similar twists and turns simultaneously as you is very, very powerful.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I also am one that loves the depth of like the real conversation, what's really happening with people, because that's where the real connection happens. And that's where the fulfillment, I think, in our lives happen is through that, the real connection of like saying, oh, I see you, I honor you, and there's something that we have in common.
Yeah, and I understand you, and I validate your thought process, and I understand why that would be an issue or bother you or stand out and sort of throw you for a loop. Um, and most importantly, you honor somebody coming forward and being real about what's going on. And I genuinely think that we've lived and we continue to live in a world where um, I don't want to say that it's fake news because I hate that expression, but that people are really genuinely about putting out their glossy versions of themselves. They're out putting their best versions, which hopefully inspires them to continue to be better and do great things. But very often times people are at home and they're alone, and they're not being as transparent as they possibly could, when transparency and vulnerability would actually benefit them the most, to know that there are many other people that are going through that sort of same process. So what happens when you sort of get rid of the shiny, glossy, perfect world and actually come forth with the troubles, the challenges, the difficulties, the sadness, of being lonely, of being afraid, of being nervous, of being anxious, of not knowing what to do for an elder parent, not knowing how to navigate something during a pandemic, wanting to seek deep transformation and change in your life, but not really knowing where to go or how to do it. Community is very much at the forefront for this. And being around people, you feel better when you kind of can get it out.
Yeah, I mean, and I think about, and I want to go back a little bit, right? Because we kind of jumped into like your ethos and belief around community, right? And like this launch of Lighthouse, and like which is like and I think it's 3 years old now. Is that right?
It's about almost 3 years. Yes. Yes.
So I'm curious. I want to go back and say, okay, like when did this deep passion for community start? Like, when did you want to, have these conversations? Has it always been with you? Like, how did you get to that point? Because you've had such a illustrious career, and you totally made a 180 on that. And so I just love to hear maybe the origin story of this deep passion for being around other people that can help you through this thing called life.
Yeah, it's a really good question. As you mentioned, I had spent 25 years very successfully in the corporate world, and I loved it, and I loved everything about it. Um, but I had always had this idea for community, much like a book club or a mommy and me class, or just a group of people getting together, a small group of people, not like a lecture series. And I had really wanted to start my own business, but I wasn't sure about the timing. I wasn't sure if it was the right thing for me. And certainly when you work in the entertainment space, it's not easy to get back in once you take your toes out of the water. And I really wanted to be around other like-minded, diverse, inclusive, smart women that had made that same leap. And I genuinely, I couldn't find it. I did find some Facebook groups, but it really wasn't something that I wanted to put myself out there publicly, for everybody to kind of weigh in. I really wanted to keep it personal because it was very personal for me. And after, an exhaustive search of trying to find this sort of community, I couldn't find it. And then it only furthered my inspiration and fueled my passion to actually create something where it's not your girlfriends, it's not your closest core group. And I have the most supportive group of girlfriends in my life, and incredibly close to my family. But I wasn't looking for the rah-rah cheerleader. I was looking for um, somebody that really didn't have any skin in the game, and somebody that would give me the real ups and downs and complexities, and put thoughts in my head of things to consider. Things, hey, you might not know this, but you really should be aware. There's going to be a speed bump. There's going to be a hiccup. There's going to be a change in your dynamic and how you feel. And it was really life lessons and deep learnings, that's what I was ultimately seeking and craving. And that helped me find comfort and peace to make the decision that I did, because I had so much knowledge from smart people that had lived it. And that's really at the core. That is one of the pillars of Lighthouse, is to provide wisdom, to provide perspective, to show you that it can be done, but you're not going into something blindly. And
Mm.
I experienced that firsthand, and I was fortunately on the receiving end of some really incredible women that helped guide me and helped steer me to making the best decision for me. Um, and I will be forever grateful for that. So my hope is that every class, event, workshop, anything that Lighthouse does, we are able to provide that same level of service and satisfaction to really go deep and make sure that you're uncovering all the what ifs, the cans, the buts, what have you, so that you're making the best decision for you.
Yeah, I want to go back a little bit and kind of better understand. So it sounds like you hit a crossroads in your career where you were wondering like what next, and because you were trying to figure out what next, you realized you couldn't find a group of women specifically, right, that could help you on that journey to be like how do I make a transition? Do I make a transition? What should I watch out for? And then it sounds like because you couldn't find it, that was the inspiration for creating lighthouses. Am I kind of hearing the journey? Is that right?
Yes, and it wasn't so much that I was at a crossroads in my career.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I honestly thought it was something that I could have on the side, not in terms of side hustle, but more of
Mm-hmm.
just a community, a safe place to go that was judgment free and confidential. Um, and in my search, I knew that it was something I wanted to do,
I
but
see.
sort of, peeled that onion and really tried to find it, it only further demonstrated the need for the community to exist and not exist on a part-time basis.
Mm-hmm.
Exist that, it needed to be nurtured and seeded and watered and properly, it needed attention and love and respect. And um, ultimately the decision came to recognizing that I wanted to help people the same way that the people helped me. I wanted to be able to give back and really be there. And then I really started to analyze how many life stages that I personally struggle with and go through and don't have all the answers to. Um, and then I started talking to other women and realized, wow, okay, I'm really not alone on this. There's, that sort of notion of, it takes a village. We're not kidding. Like it really, really does, because you want not just the best information, but you want to at least have the knowledge, um, of other people's paths and to understand, listen, this is going to happen. And a perfect example, I did a class on caring for your aging parents during a pandemic. My 75-year-old parents live in New Jersey. My mom fell, she broke her hip, I was here. I had no idea how helpless I would feel, let alone the emotional trauma of trying to wrap my head around the fact that I could not be by my mother's bedside for almost 3 months. Um, I wound up talking to so many other people, fascinating people that were struggling the same way I was. And there was so much comfort in that. And as a result, we not only formed incredible bonds of friendship, we shared a lot of information about how to cope and also how you actually can stay in touch with them and best technology rules and things that you can do that make you feel closer. And it was incredibly informative. And there were so many pieces and nuggets of information that I have been able to apply to my own situation that changed my emotional and my outlook on how I could be there for her. And instead of feeling guilty that I couldn't, I actually found that I was there in more ways than I even thought I could be as a result of talking to other people who were going through the same thing.
Mm. Yeah, that's a great example. And you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of, okay, we have like MBA programs for people who want to figure out how to change careers, right? We have like certifications for people who want skills in digital or what the hell ever. But do we have places where people can go to learn how to do life together?
I mean, no, that's not. No, I mean, you're not like it's like when you have a baby. There are all these. like baby classes, CPR classes. Okay, then the baby comes out, boom, bye, thanks, nice to meet you, good luck. Yeah,
Right.
where are those classes? It's the same thing with life. Like there's no
Mhm.
manual to it. There's
Right.
no there is no tutorial
Mhm.
on,
Mhm.
how to do various things. It's very much trial and error. And sometimes
Yeah.
that's really great. But when you're emotionally invested into something, or there is a profound crisis or struggle that you're dealing with, you don't have that kind of time to all right, I guess I have to just see how this is going to play out. You want to sort of be proactive about it, and you want to have like tangible, relatable, manageable information or intelligence from people that have lived it,
Mhm.
and sort of trade secrets
Yeah.
about it a little bit, and just feel like you're not standing under the umbrella of life alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I when I think about like our like prep call for this too, like so much of what we talked about was this idea of I don't want you to project your shit onto me. I don't want you to tell me what you think I should do because only I know what I should do. But I want you to maybe give me some of the information that might be helpful in making my decision.
That's exactly right. You and I talked about, I never like the word should, because
Hmm.
we should stop shoulding all over ourselves. Um, but yeah, you can't pretend to walk in someone else's shoes, and you can't pretend to understand what someone else is going through. What you can do is advise and encourage and support and give examples and share how you yourself navigated your way in a very similar situation, and let that person decide which pieces of that information are going to help benefit them and their situation. But it's not a should situation. You should do this. Yes, one could do that, but there are also
Right.
a variety of other ways to guide someone or lend support.
Yeah, and I think that, part of what the patriarchy does, right, is create an environment where we think that this is how we should be acting or this is how we support people. But really it's about like learning new language and as a coach, right? Like holding space for what's going on versus giving an opinion but it's almost like we need to learn how to be with each other, how to support each other in new ways. And even often what I'll do, because I wear a coach hat so much, I might say, do you want my coach hat on? Do you want my friend hat on? Like, do you want me to listen? Like, I will ask, like, what is it you need so that I'm not giving you something that's not helpful? And I think everybody can learn from that kind of model of like asking, who do you need me to be right now?
Right. And
For you.
that's a great sort of way to look at it. And a lot of times we will bring in trusted professional experts because we don't pretend to
Mm.
be a professional at a specific topic that we're talking about. All we can do is say we're in it at the same time. So we're relating to everything that you say, but having the expert there is really somebody that's knowledge based, that is credentialized in that particular topic and that subject matter, that's able to again validate the cause for concern or the heightened awareness, but having somebody to ultimately bubble it up to say, are these common things that you hear all the time, and what is the best approach for the mother, the teacher, the coworker, the colleague, the friend, the daughter, whatever it might be? How do we navigate ourselves through this knowing that we're feeling a certain way?
Yeah.
So you're asking the questions, but you're also walking away with, again, results and information um, that that is deeply profound and that will help you. Some of our stuff
Right.
that we do are not just necessarily one-off classes. We have series, we have workshops, we have events, because we also understand that some of these topics are not going to be addressed in a 1 hour class. There,
Right.
because there are multiple ways to approach something. So we want people to feel supported, and also there is that level of accountability because you want people to come back and say, okay, I heard what everyone said and I actually applied it to this situation. And here's what I learned. Here's what happened.
Hmm.
Sometimes it goes sideways. Sometimes it didn't it didn't actually go as well as I thought. And sometimes it's like, thank God I listened to this and I was able to get it out and I did exactly what I was supposed to and it worked. And
Mm.
it helps the next person and the next person because you know, nothing is really black and white. It's you kind of zigzag a little bit all over the place. So that accountability and that ability to come back and check in and sort of
Mm.
work back with your findings and say, here's the good, the bad, the ugly of how this actually turned out. That's powerful. It's real.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I'm hearing you say, even in that too, is like, yeah, it's not just about be inspired, but it's like take the action, try something new. You want to transform your life. You really want to like make the progress, and I also want to, I know we have a great audience here too, and I always want to open it up. And, if anybody has any question, by all means, put it in the comments. And, I'm here looking too. Andrea is here. She's part of the Latinista, which is a group to support professional women who identify as Latinas in that journey, because there's so much need and so much support that's, and expertise that community needs. And so it's like, I feel like there's such a proliferation right now, actually, of different communities that can serve. I think especially women. It's like that can say, "Hey, like we need to, we need the tribe to like push us all up and forward and uplift us." And it's like this. I don't know. In your research and in building this community over the past couple of years, like, do you see it growing? Just from my perspective, it looks like it's just a lot of women are saying we need to create this stuff, and it's just popping up.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing that I have found along the way is the education of it. You know, it's not just sharing stories, which is a vital part of what we do, but it's really educating people that aren't aware of certain situations and being able to shine the light on that so that you're learning, but you're educating other people that might not be aware. What it is also shared and really sort of brought out is the need to talk it out. And I think as women, very oftentimes we sort of suppress things and we keep them kind of bubbled up, and you know we have our superwoman tights on constantly. But here's a great opportunity where you can take them off and share and sort of be present and stop and recognize, okay, I don't have to just be this sort of octopus and have giant tentacles everywhere, but rather I just need to be present in the situation and really try and analyze my next move.
Mm.
Um, what has been also really of tremendous value is that during the pandemic, the one benefit for us has been a global audience now,
Mm.
because traditionally our classes have been in person, and the in person part of it really felt like you were putting that phone down, you were not multitasking, you were being one with yourself in your brain and sitting in someone else's joy and sitting in someone else's fear, but being just in that very, very clear moment with somebody.
Mm.
I never anticipated in my
Mm.
wildest dreams that when we went global, that we would have women from South Africa and New Zealand and the Netherlands and London and Spain all coming in with the same
Mm.
sort of, I don't want to use the word struggle over and over again, but the same thoughts and the same questions and the same desire
Mm.
to share and seek perspective. And at the end of the day, you realize we are all so divided right now, yet we are
Mm.
all the same.
Mm.
And that's just been an extraordinary um, um, gift
Mm.
to hear that somebody, you know, halfway around the world is coming to join this community because they get so much out of it and they
Right.
understand that it is okay to not be perfect. It is okay to not have your shit together. It's okay to not know what your next move is going to be. And it's okay to be vulnerable and need space to be yourself and have a feeling about something. You know, a wise woman had always said to me, stop having feelings about your feelings. You know, feel a certain way, so you feel a certain way. You don't need to judge that and analyze.
Right.
You feel it, okay, let's figure it out. But let's
Yeah.
figure people that get it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love everything about what you just said. And I want to honor, there was a beautiful comment that came through. I don't think you can see it, but T. Palermo says Corey is amazing and truly provides brave spaces for women to support and educate one another, to tackle life on all levels for each person to grow and succeed with the tools needed to accomplish. More women need to support each other. She is doing this. So what a beautiful testimonial for you.
I love you. That's and she's extraordinary herself. So thank you so much for that, Tony. I really appreciate that, and I miss you.
So I have a question, right? Because we kind of glossed over a little bit of like 25 years in corporate. Um, and it's like, were you, and and you worked in very male dominated spaces. And so I'm curious, like, did you have what you needed during that career? Like, do you wish you had this then? Like, and was there anything about that journey that is just a huge part of, well, it's obviously a huge part of who you are now, but like that has really just influenced your decision to leave, because that's not a choice a lot of people make, especially 25 years in, to say I'm going in a whole new direction with my career. I would just love to learn more about what that part of your that chapter or those chapters in your life and how that's played a role in this decision now.
That is a fantastic question. And yes, I have worked in
Mhm,
mostly male dominated businesses,
mhm,
which oddly enough is a real comfort zone for me. I have an older brother. A lot of my friends are male. Um, so I sort of speak that world pretty fluently.
mhm,
I don't think that because I was in a male dominated business that then influenced my decision to go into a women's group. I really don't. I think it's two
mhm,
separate things. I think corporate life in general was the impetus for me to start my own business, because what I did see, and again, it's not a male female thing, it's just a corporate versus being an entrepreneur, um, is that some of the decisions over the years being in corporate, I saw my bosses and boards of directors and so forth. There were a lot of decisions that were being made that I actually did not agree with. But as a member of the team, you're there to support and not do what you're told, but carry out the vision. So I was on board 100% to do whatever was asked of me.
mhm.
Um, but I had always wondered what it would look like if I did something that I wanted to do. And what if I pivoted and took a different approach or a different thing? What would have happened? And I think for me personally, ultimately, what led me to make that departure was I was no longer comfortable putting my happiness, my financial welfare, the security of my family in corporate America's hands. I really did not want to have to wait and see if I was going to be recognized for something, if I was good enough for something, or if something I did had consequences. Not that the consequences were ever bad, but I started to recognize that I had learned so much over the years doing what I did. And again, I will forever be grateful to every employer that I had the luxury of working for. And I worked for big blue chip
Talk about him. Say it. Throw
brands.
it out there. Shit. Let people know. Let them know.
Yeah, I mean, I really did. I worked for Playboy for 15 years. I worked for Warner Brothers for 10 years, and they were amazing. Um, and I enjoyed it to death. I mean, there's not a bad thing that I could say about it. However, I wanted to start making decisions that felt good for me, and not trying to carry out someone else's vision. I really wanted to see what happens if I banked on myself and made the decisions for myself. And ultimately, you got to trust your gut. You got to do what feels good. And while this lighthouse is a departure from my years in entertainment, at the end of the day, the dialogue, the conversation, the getting to know the person is really the same. It's not different. It's just on a deeper level. And I'm not selling a TV show or a website. And I hope never really to be selling again. I don't like the idea of selling my classes. I'm hoping it resonates with you.
Mm.
That I'm creating highly curated content that speaks to you, that you're engaged enough and it makes sense for you, that you're coming and seeking it out. Um, it's a very authentic process versus trying to pitch somebody something in exchange for sponsorship dollars. It's a different approach, not a bad approach, but different yet very much the same, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And there's something I want to dig into. You can tell me you don't want to go down this path. But because when we in our pre-call, right, we talked about, right, you were wildly successful in corporate. You enjoyed it, right? You were there because you liked it. And also you shared with me about at some point or certain points in that journey, like not feeling valued, right? Or like not, and I really want to dig into that because I think that it's easy for people to feel like it's only them or something is wrong with them when it's this bigger landscape that we're playing in. And I just love to, if you're willing to just share what was that like for you, and what role did that play? You talked about banking on yourself, right? And wanting to be a decision maker. And so, because you could have just kept going, right? And gone to the top decision maker or what have you, but you chose not to. So I'd love to dig into whatever you want to share about that part of the
Yeah,
journey.
I'm not sure if it was not being valued because I don't think I would have gotten to where I was if I
Mm,
wasn't valued or if I wasn't recognized for my efforts. Um, but again, when you work in corporate America, and when I keep repeating corporate, I mean it because there are hundreds of thousands of employees
right.
uh, versus a smaller company. Um, you're up against the success of that company, the amount of revenue that that company or that product or that TV show is bringing in. There are so many cooks in the kitchen,
Mm,
and many of those cooks are entitled to be recognized and valued as well.
mm,
Um, so you're in constant, I don't want to say competition, but it is very difficult to be valued and recognized when there are a lot of people doing the same thing. And
mm,
genuinely at the mercy, like I said, of
mm,
being valued on the success of your division and the
mm,
success of your team. Did they bring in enough sales? Did you sell enough sponsorships? How much revenue against, what it costs. I mean, there's so many analysis that you can sort of slice and dice that go into whether you're valued or not. That part of it was no longer serving me because
mm,
it can't all just come down to being a transaction. It has to be recognized as you've moved the needle. You engaged and opened up a dialogue. And even though someone said no, that should not then translate into your value, your level of productivity, your level of success. And that's ultimately what was um, the biggest part of my decision to pivot and go somewhere else because I know what my value is. I know what my contributions are. I know what my time is worth. And it took a lot of years to get to that point to actually see that. But ultimately, I felt far more comfortable in my decision making skills than other people's. And having that same person then determine whether or not I was valued enough, that's a hell no.
yes. Well,
That's a
yeah.
hell no.
Thank you for that clarification. I so appreciate that. And it is such a, what I pull away from that was like that the things that we do, right? The human things that we do, right, are not the things that are celebrated often in those environments. And those are the things that actually contribute more so in the long-term health. And so, oh gosh, I love that. And
Yeah. And it's hard because, like I said, I mean,
yeah,
I've worked for a lot of companies, but I've also spent a lot of time at these companies. These weren't 1 year, 2 years. These were
right.
12, 15, 18-year stints that I've done at the same company. Um, so you learn as you go.
Yeah.
You see not just what you want to become or hope to achieve, you also see what you will never become and what you
Mm.
don't want to wind up like. And for me, I think the minute I had that shift to be able to recognize, wait, all of this has to be like they're interviewing me and my progress and my contributions as much as I'm interviewing them and their level of risk reward and ability to appreciate what I'm doing. At some point it becomes I've just been doing this too long and I'm tired, or you lose interest in the subject matter, of the realm of, for me, I love entertainment more than anything. But I am tired of it. I wanted something a little bit different. But I still watch it and I still support the teams that I work for.
Right.
But I also saw that, you know what, I think I can do this. I think I can do it differently, and I think I can do it in a way that's better for me.
Mm.
And I learned those lessons from seeing what I didn't do. It's almost like you start going back and looking at your own career path and the mistakes that you kind of like go back and reevaluate, and you have that chance to do that. So for me, it was a lot of learning lessons, not just about the companies, but also about myself. That showed me, like, as I got older, there were certain boundaries that I was not willing to budge on. That
Mm.
was no longer okay. That's just part of it. No, no, no. I don't want to be a part of. That's not okay for me. So I'm going to say no, thank you.
Oh,
And yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
I,
What I'm hearing in that story, and I want to
that
share what
personal
Shige
enough.
is sharing. Huh?
I said, is that personal enough?
Girl, I knew we were gonna have a real conversation. I wasn't worried about that. I was like, we gonna get into it. All right. Um, yeah, like so. Okay, I want to share what Shige is saying, who's a dear friend of mine, and it kind of dovetails into things I want to ask you about. But what I want to just acknowledge in what you shared, right, is that in our lives, right, we change. Like our desires change, our recognition of the spaces that we're in change. And I think that's when shit gets hard because you're like, oh crap, wait, I was happy like a year ago and now I'm sitting here like frustrated and triggered and everything. And I think that that shift is when I think people can feel lost.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
because it's like, now what?
Yeah, and I think it's also your time and your energy and your focus becomes a very serious value where,
Yeah.
you know, okay, I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to drive an hour and 20 minutes each way, and I'm going to get stuck in traffic, and I'm going to miss, a lot of family events, or I'm going to miss a lot of things because I have to be on a business trip, or, I have to go, add it to whatever it might be. You start evaluating the value that you may or may not be being recognized
Mhm.
for, and the sacrifices that you're giving up. And for me, they have to be in tandem, and it was very much an uneven scale. um,
Mm.
Time is not something that you can get back. um, so for me, it was okay, you
Mm.
can talk about this ad nauseum, as long as you want, but only you, meaning me, can make that change. I can continue to complain about it, or I can do something about it. And that's really
Preach.
you banking on yourself of, you know
Yeah.
what, I'm going to try it. And if it fails, it won't be because I didn't
Mm.
try. And I
Mm.
also, really, a quote that actually really resonates with me, and something that I have shared with so many people is, you get a chance to, for every shot you don't take, you miss. But
Mm.
what if you don't miss?
Mm.
What if you don't take the shot? What if you don't try? And for me, I was never going to be comfortable with that.
Mm.
It's like I had to at least try, because I don't think I would have forgiven myself.
Mm.
And I really tried to not live my life with regret. And I knew it would be something I would regret.
Mm.
Or my gut has not led me astray. And here we are almost 3 years later, and we're flourishing. And I have
Mm.
met so many amazing people um, that have and continue to inspire both me and the members of our community. And it's, like I said earlier, it's just really, really transformational.
I love what you're saying about like what happens if you don't give it a shot because you're not gonna win, you're not gonna like pass, but whatever. You're not gonna succeed if you don't try.
Right?
But what happens if you do? And I would love to get your thoughts on what Shige is saying here. She says, for me, the work that I've done for years and years is not consistent with what I'm passionate about or what to do when I transition. My concern is how do I start my own business that isn't consistent with what I've learned all these years. And I mean, I'm
Great.
curious what your gut reaction is to that
Yeah.
statement.
And I appreciate that question. Thank you so much. One of the biggest series that Lighthouse has done, and we've done 6 of them in the 3 years that we have started, has been really focused on the entrepreneur, the business of, getting your business off the ground, the breakfast club, the power hour, things of women trying to start their own businesses and or women that are trying to now sell their businesses because they want to step out of the rat race. And the whole purpose of them, again, is to have these small groups of women that, and when I say small groups, 10 to 15 max, because again, you want that engagement, you want that level of interactivity and conversation. But that's exactly what these classes are designed for. How do you start it? How do you take the
Mm,
learning, take what you liked and leave what you don't? What is the first steps? Who do you have to hire? How do you get trademarked? How do you find angel investors or seed funding if that's an avenue that you wish to pursue? Um, all of these things. That's why you have women in these groups that are coming from different industries. And we always try to make sure that we don't have people in the same categories in the same class because you want that level of diversity. So you
mm,
want somebody from the PR world. You want somebody from fashion. You want somebody that's a coach. You want somebody that's maybe in the wellness place. You want somebody that's from tech. You want a variety of experiences so that you're hearing from different industries what it's like
mm,
to try to pivot and make that decision. So I would certainly, in answer to your question, I would have your friend come up and sign up to meet some of the people in our community and join one of those classes because again we've done them so many times and those groups have formed lasting
mm,
relationships where they continue to feed off of each other, and many of them collaborate with one another. So
mm,
there has been a lot of success interchangeably between the groups where somebody needed PR help. Somebody was looking, it was a real estate agent and actually was looking to buy a home or office space. So they were able to work together. And it's kind of like what you and I, again, had always talked about when you bring people together um, in a very beautiful, fostering environment, no competition. It's amazing what we can do together.
mm.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, Shige is based in London, and so we know it's global here at Lighthouse. So,
And please, please, go to our website and I don't want people to hear this and think, up, oh, yeah, she's selling Lighthouse. Go see the stories, see the press that we've received. Check us out in the Wall Street Journal. Read the testimonials. Those are real women having real conversations, real life stories. And I encourage anybody to go and participating in that and seeing it from other people. The support system, Shig, as I'm seeing what you're writing now, is crucial. And it really can be very, very life changing when you find your community and you find
yeah.
your tribe.
Yes, and what I love about one of the principles, that you you have in your organization. And I don't think this isn't about selling. To me, this is about imploring women, please get the support that you need, whether it's here, whether it's somewhere else, but just know that there are resources and you don't have to do it alone. So like, I'm with you, Corey. I know this isn't like a sales pitch. I get it. Like it's a plea and an invitation to say, look, there are ways to do this without having to figure it out all on your fucking own, and like, and go crazy.
Right. Very
Self
true.
included. Self included, you know?
There are so many people that are offering different things, but what is important is that you find the right community that
Right.
fits your personality, that's diverse,
Yes.
inclusive, that has a variety of topics that are going to make
Yeah.
sense for you, with other people that you are intrigued by. You know,
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you're talking not just to somebody, but you're talking to the right somebody. You're talking to the
Yeah.
right person that's going to understand. And that's really something that we strive for. That, you know, this is,
Mm-hmm.
we're not an invitation only club, but we
Right.
do personally vet every single person that comes in to make sure that they are like-minded, that they
Mm-hmm.
that they have stories to share that are going to be relatable, that they're open-minded, that they can be judgment-free, that they can be extremely confidential and realize that someone is sharing something very, very personal. And that is to be honored, that is to be respected. And that's, you know, as I sort of liken it to, you have a live heart in
Mm-hmm.
your, because that is someone's story. And how can you make sure that you're respecting that story and that journey, but also that you can weigh in, and you can weigh in with approachable and help provide a toolkit for that particular person as you tap
Yeah.
into.
And I love that. I just wrote it down. You have a live heart in your hand. I love that. And I think you know what, one of the things I was going to say, right, is that I think women, we can find ourselves in situations where we're giving and giving and giving, and I feel like what, again, your values, your beliefs, and how you're building your community is like participation is like required. It's like, no, you're not here to just extract. You're here to give and get, and if you think you have nothing to give, think again, you know?
And that's been a question, you know, that I have received. You know, can I be a great listener and not an active participant? And the answer is no, because that feels judgmental. That
Mm,
feels like, okay, let me hear you spill your guts, and I'm going to just sit there and give you a blank stare and not let you in. That's not what this is about. And it's not who has the most vulnerable story. It's more about the, you're only going to get out of a class, an event, a workshop, what you put in. So if you
yeah.
don't share your story, there's no way to walk away with support, because nobody knows what's going on. And it's not fair to the others that are actively participating and seeking counsel and information and really wanting to bounce something off of smart people when someone sits there and has nothing to say about it. It's, you can't be a wallflower, you know. And again, if you want to be a contributor, then you have to share. And again, that's why we pick, that's actually why we program our community with these curated topics, so that they become, different things are going to resonate with different people. So if you're signing up for a particular class, it's not because this is the event of the day and you're a member and boom, that's what you're going to listen to. You're only coming in to the classes that appeal to you, that are going to make sense for where you are. But if you're going to sign up for it, then you need to you need to participate. And I think
Yeah.
that we provide an environment, you're going to want to participate, because you're
Mm,
going to realize, okay, these are some really
mhm.
cool, smart chicks, and I have a lot to learn and I have a lot to share. And I realize that actually I can help other people and they can help me as well.
You know, I love what comes up for me when you share this, right? Is that I think that what we don't do a lot of is, as women, is sit and really think about what is it we need, what is it we desire, and like what is it that we want to magnetize to ourselves, because it might be that some people want a place where they can listen. They're not in a place in their life where they can give, like for whatever reason. And so no, and so doing the work to sit with yourself and know this is the kind of place I want to be, and
Yeah.
setting the intention and saying this is the kind of community I want to find, and looking for those values of non-judgment, of participation, of what all those things. I think is just a valuable exercise for everybody, so that when you see it, you'll be like, that's it. I know because I did the work to ask myself those questions before I even found you, you know?
Yeah, it's also, I think, I mean, 100% yes, but I think it's also showing up with intent.
Yeah.
You're there because you're seeking purpose, not purpose of your existence, but purpose of your own thoughts. And
Mm.
you know that, I mean, how many times a day, at least I do this, am I wrong to think that? You start again back to the feelings about your feelings, but the intent is you want to correct it, or you want to, maybe I'm looking at it as a different, maybe I'm not approaching this correctly. So
Mm.
you're seeking information. So again, you're coming in with the idea of you are seeking the thought process, the minds of other people that are in a very similar situation, and how are they sort of navigating their way through it. But again, it's all about the intent and the purpose. If you're coming in because I want to realize that other people have it far worse than I do, or because it just sounds like, a gossipy place to be and I can learn information about other people, that's not this community. And to that, unfortunately, I have had a couple people in the 3 years that I have said, I don't think that what you're looking for is what you're going to get out of this.
Mhm.
And for those reasons, I'm not sure it makes sense for you right now. Or I think that perhaps you would be better served in a one-on-one environment, and then come to us after you have sort of sorted through a personal situation where we're not equipped to be able
Mm.
to provide the service or the expertise that you're looking for. But again, I really do. I think it goes very much back to the intent of what you're looking to get into it, share, and get out of it.
Yeah. I love that. And I think we talked about, Priya Parker and the Art of Gathering book, right? Which is about saying, look,
I
I'm
love
I'm yeah, like I'm going to tell you what to expect here.
Yeah.
Here's let's or we can co-create the rules or whatever it is, because not all space is for all people, and that's okay. And it's not about exclusion, but it's about saying, like, we're intentional with who we are when we gather here, and that way if it's a fit, or if it's you're not in that place,
You're
you
setting
know?
for all participants
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that people go into it with the right expectations. Like, this is not group therapy. This is not a lecture series. This is not an opportunity to be quiet. We want you to ask questions. We want you to provide, well, have you thought about this? What about, maybe you misunderstood, and have you ever considered this perspective? That's what
Mm.
you want,
Mm.
because that's the way you learn, and that's the way you grow, and that's also how you change. And you're signing up for those classes because you're seeking change. You're seeking a different vision, a different perspective of how you've gone about something, and it's either working in your favor or it's not working at all. So, you're coming there with the idea that knowledge is power, and you want to surround yourself with people that are knowledgeable and experienced in that particular topic, that are going to be able to give you valuable information that will then yield and provide meaningful change.
And what you're saying reminds me very much of a statement that Brene Brown says, which is clear is kind, unclear is unkind. And so you have a point of view, right? On what does it look like to gather? What does it look like to be in support? What does it look like to share information and not be in judgment? And to me, being clear is kind as well, you know?
If you think about what we as women, will, if we're having a bad day, or think about what, an hour really is out of your day. You go take a yoga class, a Pilates class, you'll get a manicure. It is unbelievable, the lift I personally get buying a lipstick at a drugstore, like changes my whole mood, or a cup of coffee or whatever it might be. Why not actually do something for your brain where you can
Mm,
kind of go and, it's not something that costs a lot of money. You don't have to vet it through insurance. You don't even have to drive anywhere. You can do it out of the comfort of your own home, but it's a brain dump. It's
mm,
something that's really good for your mental space of being able to openly talk to other people. I can't imagine why anybody wouldn't want that. You know,
mm.
it's something that's really, really necessary, and I think really, really healthy. And like I said, it has helped me immensely, and I only hope to be able to give back, and have our community be able to help others that seek it.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Um, yeah, so, and I know we're coming up on time here, and I want to be mindful of that. But we've covered a lot of ground, right? And just some of the nuggets, taking away, right, are like banking on yourself. We've talked before about taking off the golden handcuffs, so I don't think we talked about it in this conversation, but you know, under the guise of helping people to understand, like, it is okay to get support, that there is support out there for you. Like, what else do you want people to know that are watching live or that after the fact? Like, what do you wish everybody knew about this idea of not having to live life alone?
I want people to come check us out and not, I don't do any paid advertising. I don't, do I promote Lighthouse? Absolutely. I mean, I'd be silly not to, but I really want people to go and check out our site and to see the testimonials and see, um, how people are reacting and how the community is embracing us and continues to embrace us because there is a need. We want people to come to us and say, hey, I have a really great opportunity as a topic. I'd like to participate in it. I'd like to lead it. I want to be, how do I get involved? I really hope that people understand that this is, real conversations with real women about real life. It's your favorite book club, but the chapters are your real life. It's not a fictional, it's not something that's made up. It's something that we deal with day in and day out, and the topics are endless. But to be able to find truth and to find a community that is designed to be authentic and to share your not perfect self, and to share, um, to go through life together. Um, Again, there's just so much power in it, and it is extremely cathartic. And I don't know about you, but whenever I've had a struggle or a conflict or an interest, I know whether I'm talking to my daughter or my mother or my best friend, um, over a text, a phone call, a walk, a cocktail, whatever it might be, regardless of whatever got resolved in that time together, I just felt better. I
Mm.
felt heard. I felt understood. They might not agree with what I'm saying, but at least it's like I got it out, and I heard what somebody that I care about and whose opinions I sought. I felt better. And I
Mm.
hope that women that are watching this, and men and anybody else, understands that finding that community that understands you is a blessing. And being able to do this full time is a blessing for me.
Oof. Beautiful. It is so healing. It is so healing to share, to release it, to be heard by others. And so I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for what you've created, because there is such a need, it's such a demand, um, and for people to know that it's not taboo to get support, that we weren't meant to do life alone, and that it's
Oh,
just better together, you
yeah.
know?
I've heard, my dad actually had said this to me, something about, who's greatly much alive and doing well. He always said, by the time he gets into his sort of coffin, he doesn't intend to go in and slide in perfectly intact. He's like, I better be broken, tattered, like life. I've like, I have broken bones. I tried to figure out life as best as I possibly could. Um, so it's kind of the same thing. Like, we're not designed to be perfect. We're designed to fuck up and make bad decisions and then course correct and correct those decisions and, figure out these sort of twists and turns. Um, so it does. And again, it really does take a village. But may I also please say that meeting you has been such a gift for me.
Mm.
I adore you and I love what you're doing. I think that your approach and you being as open-minded as you are and the information that you provide to your clients, um, you are the real deal and you are genuine and you can see that there is compassion and warmth and genuine care and tremendous authenticity in what you do. And that's why I'm so drawn to you,
Mm.
because it's real. It's not something that's bottled. It's not packaged. It's just you. It's just the way you're built. And it's a gift for everybody. So I hope that anybody that comes to
Mm.
me
Thank
goes
you.
to you, because I think you're awesome.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. I received that. I received that. I'm gonna let that in. I might have to replay that later too,
Yeah,
but
no,
no, this is great. Yes, because you know what? We need the real fucking talk. No more branded Instagram bullshit. We just need to like put it out there like it is
right.
because people need
That's
to
right.
know. It's
That's right.
life is ugly for all of us. It's messy for all of us.
That's right. You know, I know this will sound salesy, as I just said, not, I don't want to do, but do check out our lineup because we are launching several new opportunities, classes, workshops that have not yet been announced that we're super excited about. Many are in collaborations with very beautiful brands and companies that I really think are going to resonate. And so please check back weekly for updated schedules and find something that you like. Also, your first class is free, so you got nothing to lose. You have everything to gain. You can come in and say, okay, I kind of like this, or you know what, this isn't my tribe. Thank you so much, and it cost you nothing. So
Yeah,
you're
I'm all
welcome.
about that. I'll be scouring that schedule. I can't wait. I can't wait. All right,
Please,
Corey, thank you so much. I look forward to many more conversations with you, and I wish you continued success on your platform. And if there's any other way I can support you, please let me
likewise,
know.
1,000%. Thank you for being you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for asking really like meaningful questions. I really appreciated the time.
Thank you. My pleasure. All right. Well, thanks everyone here for joining live and after the fact. And I guess ciao for now. Until next time.
Until each other again. Be
Sounds
well.
good. You too.
Bye.
Bye.